This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the best online retailer for Magic the Gathering singles and sealed product, and GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and content.
Hey guys, Marshall here. You may know me from limited resources and from coverage and that kind of stuff, but I also do draft videos, and I'm going to be doing them here at Gathering Magic for the foreseeable future. I'm quite excited by this, and I'm going to start things off by jumping into a Theros draft here. We've got a foil rare and another rare, so we've got two rares here, but the card that I like the best is Nessian Asp, and I'm going to be taking that card here. You guys will see kind of my draft style for Theros. I like to draft kind of controlling, slower decks, usually green and black, sometimes black and blue or black and green. But I prefer them. I do like decks that run like a Battle-Wise Hoplite, but my preferred deck, though, is more of a Nessian Asp type direction. Along those same lines, I'm going to be taking a Leafcrown Dryad here. I think it's a really solid card, a card I like quite a bit. You know, I've drafted most of the archetypes available. I think I've probably done 80 or 90 drafts or something of Theros by now, maybe even over 100, I don't know. And there's a lot of good cards in this pack for a lot of different types of decks. God's Willing is really, really good. A Crow and Hoplite can do some work in the right deck. I like Vaporkin quite a bit. Not a big fan of the Ordeals in general. They're very powerful in the right deck. You'll happily run them, and they're quite good. But just as a strategy, I try to stay away from them. I feel like I can do better. You know, look, if somebody's going to ship me the Ordeal deck, I will play it happily and I will smash people with it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to play it. I'm going to play cards like Leafcrown Dryad, Nessian Asp, that kind of thing to try to slow it down a little bit and try to go for the longer game. Out of this pack, I'm going to be taking a Horizon Scholar. Blue-green is a perfectly fine color combo, and there's really not much else in this pack for us anyway. Just in general, there's not much. This is a kind of a weak pack, so I'm going to take the Scholar here. My goals for the videos with you guys here at Gathering Magic are to get better. That's always what my approach has been with the podcast I do, limited resources, the video and all that, the videos I've done and all that kind of stuff. I don't have a big head about any of this stuff. I play the best I can. I'll tell you why I'm doing the things I'm doing, and I'm going to leave it up to you to decide what's useful to you out of that information and what isn't. You know, my ideal situation is you see me do some things that you hadn't thought of or didn't do, and you assimilate them into your own game plan and your own style. Everybody's got their own way to approach this stuff, and everybody has their own opinion on it, and this is just an outlet for you to see my opinion so that you can then work it into what yours is. By no means is anything I say or do on my videos, you know, the end word. It's just one man's opinion, and you can use it to help form your own. I really like Read the Bones, but we're going to concentrate on these two green cards instead. So it's either a Nylea's Disciple or a Scorpion. These are really close for me at this point. I'm just going to take a Scorpion here because it's cheaper, and we don't have one yet, and I like picking those up. Often I'll be in green-black, and I'll pick up a bunch of Baleful Eidolons, but we might not be in black this draft. We might still, we don't really know yet, but if we're not, then it puts a little more pressure on our little buddy here, the Sedge Scorpion, to hold down the ground. Black has a lot of good tools for stopping early assaults. Baleful Eidolon's one of them, but also Phalanx, Returned Phalanx, and cards like that can really come down and just sort of clog up the ground. Green has some good options for it too, like Leafcrown Dryad, but to be honest, unless we see a line where we can beat down, I'd rather be bestowing my my Leafcrown Dryad. Not a ton in this pack, but there's two cards on the far left here that catch my eye. There's a Sip of Hemlock and a Staunch-Hearted Warrior. Warrior's Lesson is also something to keep in mind here. I could take the Staunch-Hearted Warrior. It's kind of the boring pick. I don't really like the card that much, but it does end up being pretty good. I'm actually just going to take the Sip here, though. If we end up in black, I'll be really, really, really happy I have this. And since we're probably going to be in green, I'll be if I have a Staunch-Hearted Warrior for the most part. There's a few decks that really want it, but you know, this is a card that's kind of key to the archetype. I'm going to take the Acolyte here. Ferris Band Centaurs is actually a perfectly reasonable card. It's just not one that makes the cut very often because there's better options like this guy, for example. And Viper's Kiss is a card we can kind of pick up whenever. I like where we ended up in this next pick here, a Disciple of Phenax. Best card in the pack, but there's a couple of decent cards. Divine Verdict and Coordinated Assault are both fine, but I like Disciple on power level alone, and then it shows us that black might be open a little bit. Another thing about being base green that's nice is, you know, we could splash a card like this. We pick up a Nylea's Presence, or, you know, a few other little fixers like that in green, and boom, we can splash a blue card, you know, here and there. Good white cards, good red cards, not a ton for us here. Trying to decide between maybe these two. None of these picks are super important for us. I'm just going to take a Divine Verdict here. All right, so red seems to be a little bit open. Rage of Purphoros, Flamespeaker Adept are both playable. I'm just going to take the Viper's Kiss here, though, and kind of keep it simple. We're going to have to see as we move forward into the pack. White does seem kind of open here, but yeah, we'll see. Not much for us here. We'll take a sideboard card with Guardians of Meletis. None of these are good. This guy's okay. I'd much rather have this as a 6-drop in blue than this, though. Not that this thing's bad. It's just, the 4/4 flyer that basically says you get to draw action for the next 2 turns, you know, is significantly better. Yeah, so I don't really know where we're going yet. We're still kind of piecing together what the puzzle here. Few reasonable red and white cards late in the pack, but still no really strong indications either direction. So we'll kind of keep playing it by ear and see where we end up here. This is definitely something that I like to do. I'm somebody who prefers to stay open longer. I like kind of solidifying a color if I can in the first pack, and then having a few options to go for our second color, and then kind of nailing it down early in the second pack. It's tricky. You know, you're playing with fire a little bit by waiting, but I hate getting married to my first pick, or to, you know, to my first pack, and then just watching like a great deck go by me. So I do like to try to keep it a little bit open. This is a little more open than I'd like. I mean, we've got 3 really good green cards and an okay one, and then the rest of our stuff is just kind of whatever. All right, let's see what we pick up here. Lots of good options. We've opened a mythic rare Ashen Rider. Pretty sweet card, but it's not really worth anything, and I don't think that we're not going to be able to cast it most likely, so I'm not going to be picking it here. Heliod's Emissary, that's Elmer. He's awesome. Voyage's End is the best card in the pack, I think. And then there's 2 really good green options with a Nessian Courser and a Nylea's Disciple. I like both of these cards a lot, but I'm going to take Voyage's End here. We can get something really good back, but I think I'm just going to take the card that I think is the best here and just kind of keep it simple. If we end up being green-blue again, we can splash black, though unfortunately the cards that we have right now can't be splashed. But you know what? We can be green-black and splash blue still. Heck, we could even be in white, although that does seem unlikely. I'll hide this for now. All right. Another good rare here, but unfortunately it's pretty far off from where we're at. Double red, we're not really going to dive over there for a hammer. Hammer's good, but not amazing. And I really like Nemesis of Mortals, so that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take it over the Sedge Scorpion or any of these other cards. Pharika's Cure I'd like to pick up one of if we do end up in black, but we know we're in green, and Nemesis of Mortals is just strong. You know, it's perhaps not the most exciting card ever, but it's very good, and I'm quite happy to have it. All right, so we've got a Nylea's Presence, a Savage Surge, an Invocation, a Burnished Heart, or an Insatiable Harpy. I love Insatiable Harpy. I think it's really good. I just think it's a really solid Magic card, and I think it's going to make the cut most of the time. What we hope to get back out of that pack is the Nylea's Presence. If we can get that, that would be sweet, because it really opens us up to splashing for the Scholar and the Voyage's End, which are both, definitely worth splashing. You know, if we end up with enough playables where we don't have to, then so be it, but I like it. Unknown Shores, not a great way to fix your mana, unfortunately. It basically adds a mana, an extra mana to any spell you want to splash, and that's, when you're looking at a Voyage's End, you can live with that. But when you're looking at a Horizon Scholar, no. Like, I don't want to pay 7 mana for a Horizon Scholar. So you really want to make sure that if you're going to be using Unknown Shores for splashing, that you do it on cheap cards. Cards that do not cost that much mana in sheer numbers is the way to go with that. Tough choice here. There's a Temple of Mystery or a Nessian Courser. We could really use a Nessian Courser here. We don't have any 3-drops yet, and it's just one of the most solid, reliable 3-drops you can get. That said, Temple of Mystery enables our splash and is a scry land, which is actually quite good, even in limited. So I'm going to take it here, but I think that I could have gone either way and been fine. Not much for us. A Returned Phalanx, though, is going to be a welcome addition. I want to pick up as many of these as I can. We are looking to splash blue, and this guy's pretty good on its own, even if you're not able to pay. But once you can start turning it into an attacker, it becomes just a really nice card. So our Temple of Mystery is going to come in handy for that as well. Ooh, nice. Couple of kind of cool options here. A Rescue from the Underworld, which if we had taken that Ashen Rider, we would probably start to look to actually maybe get something going. I mean, you can Disciple of Phenax yourself, ditch the Ashen Rider, rescue it, get back Disciple of Phenax, get them. Like, you can do some pretty nasty stuff with it, but unfortunately we didn't take it. And plus, there's one of my favorite cards in the set here, a Baleful Eidolon, and I'm going to take it here pretty easily. Okay, a nice little splash addition here as well is a Shipwreck Singer. One of the better cards in the set at 2 mana. Thing does work. It can just wreck certain decks. It can make other decks have very awkward situations. And pairing it with green is really quite amazing. I mean, you take a Shipwreck Singer and a Nessian Asp, and you put those 2 cards together, and things get really ugly for your opponent. Either they're playing a bunch of small creatures that just die to the Shipwreck Singer anyway, or you force them to run their guys into the Asp that can block basically everything profitably. Downside, of course, here is that it's hard to get Shipwreck Singer online early since we're splashing for it, and on top of it, its first ability costs blue, so you could really only do that like once per turn. This is a pretty easy pickup with Pharika's Mender. It's just really solid value card, a great 5-drop to get back. Like, it just works so well with Baleful Eidolon and Sedge Scorpion because you can just aggressively trade those off and say, sure, if you have a trick, use it up, whatever, it doesn't matter, because in a few turns I'm going to slam Pharika's Mender, get it back, and a lot of times if you draw it late, you can recast these. One of my dreams, I think, would just be to like bestow this on something, trade it off, do it again. Oh man, the Ashen Rider came back, but so did the Nessian Courser, and we really just need this type of card. As much as I'd like to go deep with Ashen Rider, we're not going to get that Rescue from the Underworld back, and we just can't really cast it, so Nessian Courser is a pretty easy pickup here. Like I said, one of the better 3-drops, common. It just comes down and just does work. Yeah, it's a lot of flavor text, I know, but 3/3 for 3 mana, you can't argue with that. I can take a Bronze Sable or a Commune with the Gods. Neither of them are likely to make the cut. So I'll take a Commune with the Gods and just ship it away here. I don't think we're going to end up playing it. Fate Foretold or Loathsome Catoblepus. Loathsome, not the 6-drop that we really want here, unfortunately. Even though it's in our colors, it's pretty miserable. But we're not going to play a Fate Foretold, but I'm going to take it just in case we decide to splash that, or if we end up being maybe a little bit more in blue than we had anticipated. March of the Return, no, I'll just take a Sentry of the Underworld. Unlikely to be able to cast it, but I don't really want to face it down that much either. All right, so not much going on here, and unfortunately we still don't have our splash, but we did pick up the Temple, which is going to go a long way to help us out. Unknown Shores plus Temple should be able to get us onto Shipwreck Singer and Voyage's End quite nicely without really impeding our mana too much. Horizon Scholar, well, hopefully we'll have enough time to have drawn an island or our Temple of Mystery by the time we want to cast that guy. All right, what do we get? Some stuff. Pyxis of Pandemonium. This is Pandora's Box. Unfortunately, not a great Magic card, so we're not going to be taking it. I like Horizon Chimera a ton. Another Sip of Hemlock is a card we could definitely use. I'm actually quite a big fan of Opaline Goliath. I think that card is underrated and just does a ton of work. It's a simple card, but you just play it and it's like, wow, that's bigger than everything else in the set. Again, I don't really want to play an Ordeal here that much. Horizon Chimera I like a ton, though. It's really starting to stretch our blue a little if I take it here. The question is, what am I taking instead of it? Well, a Sip of Hemlock, which would be our 4th 6-drop, and I'm just not super stoked on having 4 6-drops. So I think I am just going to take the Chimera and kind of commit a little bit more in that direction. There's a Traveler's Amulet, which we would love, but I'm not going to pass a Nemesis number 2 here. Hopefully these end up being more like 4 to 5 drops as opposed to just a raw 6-drop, but yeah, we're going to do what we can do about it. Deck needs some more removal. The 1 Sip of Hemlock is not going to get it done, and a Viper's Kiss. We can do some work with big blockers plus Sedge Scorpion and Baleful Eidolon, but we need to be able to interact with our opponent's cards more than we currently can. So hopefully we'll pick up a few cards like that, though. Given that our blue splash has expanded out a bit here, it could get awkward for us. So hopefully it won't. Ooh, this is a pretty stacked pack right here. There's a Wingsteed Rider, another Baleful Eidolon, a Nimbus Naiad. Those are all quite nice. There's even a presence for us in a Magma Jet down here for somebody. Rage Blood Shaman, not amazing. I probably just need to take the Baleful Eidolon here. I really love Nimbus Naiad, but I am definitely getting concerned about 1, 2, 3, 4 cards that are blue already. You know, you don't want to be, you want to be more solidified into 2 colors. I mean, I guess it's just tough because I could be splashing green, but that just feels kind of awkward in this deck. And then just some green in here, but that just doesn't feel right to me. Yeah, I'm just going to take the Eidolon here. I mean, it's a nice pickup anyway. All right, another pretty decent pack here. Some removal, but none really for us, is another Viper's Kiss isn't what the doctor ordered. We did pick up a rare that's reasonable here with Nighthowler. I'm going to take it. I'm not a huge fan of Nighthowler. I don't think it's fantastic, but it's quite good, and it's on color, and I think it'll go in our deck fine. Uh-oh. Oh, kids, it's decision time. So the first card that you see here is a Leafcrown Dryad for our deck. That makes a lot of sense. It's a solid 2-drop. We have a lot of good stuff to bestow it onto. It's defensive and offensive, and it's just one of the better bestow creatures. But, oh, man. This is Shelly. I'd like you guys to meet Shelly. This is probably just straight up my favorite card in the set. I just love this card. I just think this card is fun and awesome and cool. And I don't think it's the right pick here, though. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just blue enough to just start picking stuff like this, but it does feel like Leafcrown Dryad might be the pick. Oh, fine. I'll be responsible this time and take the Leafcrown just for you guys. All right, so we pick up a Nykthos, which isn't going to do anything for us, but there is an Opaline Unicorn as well, which actually could be pretty decent for us now that I look at it. I am going to take it. This is not a card that I really like to play very often, but Necessary Evil here, I think, is the word of the day for that one. Omen Speaker, a fine card. We could take a Daxos. We're not playing it, though. Well, take a Daxos, have Unknown Shores plus Unicorn, play nothing else, and just hope to mise it. We could. Yeah, I'll just take the Omen Speaker this time. I don't know if I'm going to play it or not, though. All right, a second Pharika's Mender, or our first Agent of Horizons. Agent's good, but I like Pharika's Mender a lot. It allows us to play a different game plan where we can really be aggressive about trading stuff off and kind of doing that. I'm going to take this Blood-Toll Harpy here. Probably going to have to cut Omen Speaker. I like Omen Speaker. I don't love Omen Speaker, so I'm okay with not really having it. This is going to be a tough deck to play for sure. Not having removal means that we have to maneuver in certain ways and really, save these type of cards, because we can grind. I mean, we can... This deck can go long game for sure. We can make huge Nemesis of Mortals. We can buy back guys and kind of rebuild our army. And we have some reasonable finishers. Nighthowler and stuff can go on something, on a Horizon Chimera or whatever, and really get them. But I'm not going to lie. This deck makes me a little nervous. No Lash of the Whip, no Pharika's Cures, 1 Voyage's End, no Grip Tides, 0 Time Defeats. I mean, we're definitely running a little light on removal, and that's going to be a factor for us. None of these are really even reasonable. I'll just cut the Celebrants, I guess, so we don't get our Unicorn destroyed, because we are going to be playing that thing. It shores up a lot of these double mana symbols in different colors, and it also lets us go 3 to 5, where we can slam a Nessian Asp or a Pharika's Mender and start going off. Yeah, we just need a card like that. This is probably what our deck is going to be right here, unless we pick up some unlikely playable late here. I'll do another look, of course, through our pile and kind of see what we got, but this is looking to be what we're running. All right, so none of these are very good. Scourge Mark's okay, Raptor's okay. I'll just take the Scourge Mark, but I don't know. I don't think this is a deck that wants that card. We don't have that much in the way of devotion. We don't have any Garys or anything like that. We don't have creatures that really want to pick that up. The only one that I can think of is Insatiable Harpy is kind of nice with that card, but whatever. You don't... Making this into a 5/3 doesn't do much. Making this into a 6/5 or whatever doesn't do a lot either. So, probably not going to run it. Here's a Returned Centar, though. I'll probably pick that up and hide it for now, but it is possible that we end up running it, especially against like a really aggressive deck. If we want to kind of slim things down, cut the blue down a little bit, you know, we could pretty easily do that. We could cut the Horizon Chimera and the Scholar fairly easily. All right, that's nice that we picked that up. We're not going to be playing it. It's actually just a very bad card, but it's kind of good against us. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 targets just right up here. You know, and cards like this can make even more targets. So I'm fine with getting that thing out of here. Last pick. All right, so there's our deck. You're in, you're in. Man, I missed that that emissary though. Ugh. Love that card. But I really felt like the pick was Leafcrown Dryad. I mean, we're already stretching it a bit with our splashes, and as good as that card is, like this card's just super, super solid. Asks almost nothing of us. All right, so let's get these in here. Eidolons are in. Returned Phalanx for sure. Blood-Toll Harpy can block and stuff in the air, and it's pretty good for that. Voyage is in, a Scholar, and that should do it. Okay, so there's our deck, and now I'm going to do... I do this pretty regularly in my videos. If you haven't seen it before, I'll explain what I'm going to do. Is I'm trying to figure out what my mana base should look like. Now, we have a complicated one because of the splash and because of our lands here, but just looking at it from a higher level perspective, we need to figure out what mana we need when. Because when I go like this and say pile by converted mana cost, it just does that. It's just 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, and that's it. But it doesn't tell us when we actually want to cast these cards. You know, just because it's a 1-drop, it doesn't mean you want to cast it on turn 1. This one you do. But like this is a 2-drop, but you don't play this on turn 2 ever. Like that's just, this is a card that you would never play on turn 2 in this format. So what you're going to do, so what I like to do is I like to drag these around, and I say, Voyage's End probably would be about here in an ideal world, but since Magic Online won't let me do that, I'll put it here at 4. You know, 4 or 5, that's about where I expect to actually want to cast this card. Let's say 5. Eidolons, I'll put one of them at 5 and one of them at 2 because you just kind of never know. I'll do the same thing with the Dryads, one of them at Bestow 4 and then one of them at 2 because you do play them. And then these all want to come down on turn 2 ideally. These are all turn 3 plays with the exception of Nighthowler, which is going to be probably here. Because remember, if you bestow it and there's nothing in the yard, it doesn't do anything until there is stuff in the yard. And if you cast it if there's nothing in the yard, it just dies. So this card you can't realistically play on turn 3 very often. 4, yes, 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 yes. We want all of these. 5s, all on 5. I'll take one of these Pharika's Menders and put it sort of down here in the 7 and up category because sometimes you want to sandbag it to get something important back. Sometimes you just cast it on turn 5 and say, here's a 4-3, go. Sip of Hemlock and these guys all want to be cast here. So this is what our curve actually looks like as far as like where we expect to cast things. And as you can see, that's significantly different than what we had before when I just right-clicked. Wow, we have a lot of creatures. Holy smokes. Anyway, so what do we need early? Well, we need green, black, 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 green. We need green and black early. There's no... Sometimes it ends up being skewed one way or the other. In this deck, it's not. In the middle part of the game, we need black, 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 and then black. So we definitely need heavy black. And then we need some green again. And then we'll notice that our blue doesn't actually really come online till later, with the exception of Shipwreck Singer, which is very good late game and early game. You know, we're not really expecting to do much until turn 4, turn 5 anyway. So our splash is actually fairly reasonable here. We are going to play the Temple of Mystery no matter what. Let's see what Magic Online suggests here. It says 7-6-3. That is not what we're going to do. We're going to go down to 1 and probably end up playing this. And then we're going to up this like that. Oops, that's one too many. So this is what I think we want our mana look like. I'm going to go ahead and go back to converted mana cost here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sources of green, basically. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 black, which is great. and then 1, 2, 3 sources of blue, which is just there for what we want to do here. I do feel like we could run the Unknown Shores here and not have huge issues. The question becomes, what do we replace? The answer is a forest. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Like I said, I don't actually really like Unknown Shores that much, but given that we do have 4 blue cards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, I'm pretty nervous about that. So I'm going to go ahead and run it, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I'll see what this deck can do.